All right, nerds, you know what time it is. It's been about 2 weeks. We took a little hiatus, rest, relaxation, but the Batman has dropped. Sal, Aaron, in the house. We're talking the Batman, what we liked, what we didn't like, but most importantly, what we're looking for going forward. Disclaimer, spoilers up and down this episode. And spoiler, sadly, Anthony is not on this episode because as of the recording of this episode, he has not seen the movie yet. So best believe Anthony videos will be coming once he's seen it. But without further ado, welcome to Nerd Affiliated. Roll that intro. So, once again, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of HeyArcher. Now, you don't need me to tell you the movie was dope. However, I think, I got a suspicion that maybe Sal might not like the movie as much as the rest of us do. So, I know, I was getting that vibe. So, I figured we'll go through what everybody thought was a big hit, a big miss, and then what we want to do going forward. Now, I'll start with you, Sal, and just ask you right off the bat, just right up front. Did you not like the movie?
I liked it.
Okay.
It's definitely not my favorite Batman.
Okay.
It's definitely not the best Batman.
Movie or person? Because I feel like with this movie in particular, there's going to be a lot of conversation about Batman as a character, the movie, you know, everything's going to be separate, I think, considering the other movies.
I get that. As a movie, it's not. I don't think it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of '89,
Mm-hmm.
so it did touch on some things from that era that I do like, that type of Batman. But Pattinson as Batman, I liked a lot. I thought he was pretty solid. I thought he was pretty convincing.
Mm-hmm.
Looked good. He looked great.
Yeah.
But man, they made Batman is everybody in Gotham like just useless because the police department was really, those guys were really bad. It seemed like when the riddles came up, everyone looked at Batman. When it came to the crime scene, with the exception of like the two, I guess the two techs, the guys that were actually like working the scene,
Mm-hmm.
no one knew what they were doing.
But is that different? Is that very different? Like, Aaron, would you say that that's something that is new, or is that an ongoing thing in Batman?
I feel like that's pretty ongoing. I feel like they've always made sure Batman is the smartest person in the room, whether that's by dumbing down a lot of the police officers.
Mm-hmm.
The only exception to that, I think, was in The Dark Knight Rises when Joseph Gordon-Levitt was kind of privy to a lot of these things. I think that made it really refreshing. I think that character, someone besides Gordon, is very helpful. But they always tend to sort of dumb down a lot of GCPD for the most part.
So, Sal, were you going off of like a specific movie or show that you were like, I wanted him to have more people or have them know more of what's going on, and he's kind of seeing a higher level? Is that what you're looking for? Or
that's what I was looking for. I was looking for more of a higher level.
Got it.
I got this Batman Forever vibe where like the riddle comes up and there's like the clock riddle.
Yeah.
And he's like, everybody in the room is looking at him. It's like, oh, we got a face and 13's not on it. Oh, it's a clock.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Batman, you're fucking brilliant. I felt like with some of them, even man, it's even like the URL thing. I don't know if we want to jump that far into it yet, but the whole URL thing with the Rattlata, I felt like that was kind of, if you're gonna make him a higher thinking Batman and you're gonna make him the smartest in the room, he probably should have caught on to that.
It's also year 2 though, so like that's where, and Aaron, you can let me know, like I guess we're going on a ramble. Let me try to get us back on track real quick. Now that we know Sal had some issues, and Aaron, what was a big, maybe we'll start with the miss then, because I was going to say a little miss for me was that I thought he was too good for to be year 2 to write off of what Sal was saying.
I didn't think that. I thought he stumbled a lot when he stumbled a lot when he was fighting. He wasn't the best fighter.
Yeah.
He got overwhelmed a lot. And that, for me, that year 2 stuff worked.
Yeah. Yeah,
Even,
I think he made
like,
definitely made a lot of those sort of quote unquote like rookie mistakes. Whether it be like sort of letting himself pass out at the one point, sort of like after that explosion. But he kind of learned from that by the end by having what some people are calling the sort of like venom for Bane. It was adrenaline. I don't know where they're getting that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty obvious. It was adrenaline.
Yeah, I mean, people online are like, "Oh, Bane, the Bane reference." I'm like, Bane reference? What are you guys talking? The thing where he stabbed? No, that was adrenaline. What are you guys talking about? But where was I going with this? Yeah, he makes a lot of rookie mistakes, but even in that instance, I feel like he kind of learned from that mistake by having that on him and sort of ready to go, because he did have that, was ready to pass out. The question, though, I think was the biggest miss for me, right?
Yeah.
For me was like the last 20 minutes. For some reason, like once the Riddler's caught, once they have him in jail, once he sort of has that back and forth of, and you kind of wonder, does he know that Batman is Bruce Wayne? Which I'm pretty sure the conclusive answer is he doesn't know, because why would he send a bomb to him earlier in the movie? But I felt like the biggest miss was once the reveal of the like map thing under the carpet, like once the bomb started going off, the city started to flood, and then everybody was in the Gotham arena. I felt like for some reason the tone just completely shifted. It felt like a lot more like green screen stuff compared to like the very real, gritty in camera effects of everything from the past 2.5 hours. And it just felt strange and off putting. Like they didn't know how to end the movie. They had kind of a part where like, okay, the bad guy's caught. There's one final twist, which I'm fine with. But then it felt like it just didn't really know where to stop. And even the whole thing where Batman and Catwoman kind of part ways, I felt like that could have been a little bit earlier and then changed to a different ending. That was my biggest problem with it. But for the rest of the movie, I was actually having a great time.
I agree with you that the ending of the movie, there were multiple points that they could have ended this movie.
Yeah.
They, when they were locking up Carmine Falcone, I was like, wait a sec. Oh, there's still 45 minutes of this movie left.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing.
Then they got the Riddler.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, okay, so we got him. He's in the cells. Oh, there's another thing. Wait a second. There's still another 25 minutes.
I kept looking too. Yeah.
It's like, man, like it's getting exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't feel that way with Endgame. Endgame's a long movie. I didn't feel that way with Infinity War. You know, where you're sitting through these 3-hour movies. I don't even think I felt that way with any of the Peter Jackson, the Lord of the Rings movies. But this one, towards the end, it's like, it's the end. Oh, we have more time. This is it. We still have more time.
Yeah, and I think the problem with that and why the other ones work so well and the 3-hour runtime maybe doesn't feel as lengthy is because they kept resolving things and then setting up and being like, oh, but there was this other thing that we haven't finished yet. Like I would rather them almost leave it unresolved on certain aspects, maybe, rather than having to be like, oh yeah, but there's this other story we got to wrap up, and then they have to wrap up this other one on top of it.
Yeah,
it never really flowed. It felt like okay, here's a good point, sort of like a crescendo. Nice, we can fade out. Even if they ended it with like Batman looking up when he was all dirty on top of the, on top of the stadium.
Anthony's like favorite scene in the trailers.
Yeah, with like his big, like, I don't want to be as like a symbol for vengeance, but hope and all that other stuff, which I felt like that speech was kind of dumb anyway. But it didn't feel like Batman to me. I felt like he was more reminiscent of a Superman, I guess.
The hope
speech. Yeah, the hope thing. I think that was because of Man of Steel, but I know Archer has a sore spot on that, so we're not going to go too deep into that. But I felt like, there were plenty of other points to end it, and they just kept being like, well, we got to make sure you guys know about this.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it wasn't really needed, and it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense, at least for me.
So Sal, the smart thing, everybody not being as smart as him, was that like your biggest overall issue, or was there something else, or was it maybe a combo of all these smaller things?
There are other things that I had some slight problem with. Again, going back to the ending, you're talking about Batman gets his revelation,
right,
of being like a symbol of hope, and something they could have done differently, which would have sent a better message, is you have all the police officers are trying to pull the rubble off a bunch of people at the very end, and Batman watches them, right? And then when Batman walks up, they all walk away, and 5 of you couldn't pick up the beam, but one Batman could pick up the beam. And I don't think that sends the right message compared to the ending, because the ending should have been where he says he's a symbol for hope now. He should have been doing it together with them to show like a camaraderie, because there is a lot of friction with him in the police department, and you see it earlier in the movie, and that's fine, because that's always been a thing with Batman. Do they trust him? Do they not trust him? This is a very corrupt Gotham PD. In the beginning, it was just Lieutenant Gordon that was lined up with Batman, and everybody was not really against him, but they didn't trust him. They didn't like him. He's scary.
Right.
And I think it would have sent a better message tying into the ending if they all did it together.
And that makes sense, because they kind of already set that up earlier when they sort of all walk outside, and Falcone's saying how he owns them all, and Gordon's like, you don't own all of us. And there's like literally a good amount of police officers who are on their side. So they kind of already set that storyline up, and then they just kind of let it falter because Batman had to be the hero.
Yeah, it should have been. Now the good cops are here.
Right.
Help the good. You knew they were corrupt before, but these are the good guys because they stuck around.
Right.
Help the good guys.
And I think that's an overall issue, right? Like, I feel like every single superhero movie has a hard time, no pun intended, like landing the ending. Like, it's one of those where things will build up, and then I think they're afraid to do a comic book ending. Like, I feel like in a lot of Batman stories, you find out who the big bad was, or you solve the crime with him, and then it's done. It's just like, we got him. Cool. All right, see you later. Like, I feel like there's this need in the movies to want to do like some big finale. And that's, to Aaron's point, that was one of my weaker parts. Honestly, the runtime is my biggest issue with the movie. And I think that could have been solved with a lot of these other parts being taken out that we've already discussed. My biggest issue with the movie is the runtime, but I think the ending was just so detached from the rest of the movie, and the plot of like, I'm going to flood the city. I'm like, I don't think you alluded to any of that before, because you were trying to allegedly, rid the city of the evil people at the top, but you weren't trying to off the random orphanage kid. Mm-hmm. So that whole finale, I was just like, oh, this is out of nowhere. And was it cool to see him fight those guys? Yeah, sure. But I was like, this is unnecessary. I didn't think it was necessary at the end.
It could have been gun thugs anywhere else in the movie.
Yeah.
And that fight would have been cool.
Yeah.
Which you led into another issue I have. I like the villain. I don't like him as Riddler. Mm-hmm. It's like you said, everything escalated kind of fast when he's picking off these very strategic targets.
Yeah.
Which shows his intelligence. He knows information that the public doesn't know. He's been looking through files. He's been doing his own investigation to find out who these people are, and he keeps picking off the problems.
Right.
And then why would he just attack a bunch of random people and blow up Gotham? When is Gotham necessarily the problem? If it were, that's more like Bane from Dark Knight Rises, where the entirety of this is a problem.
Right.
This guy's making strategic strikes against certain people who are the problem. Why attack everyone? Why flood the city?
Yeah.
That didn't fly for me. I don't like that.
Well, it's, I think they've watched enough Aaron videos, and they're like, we can't sky portal but we got to do something big. We gotta blow it all up somehow. And they're like, oh, we're just gonna flood it.
You
Yeah,
gotta
and
have
usually
a
the
big
Riddler.
bang somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually the Riddler, his biggest problem is the Batman.
Yeah.
It's not. It's really not anybody else. It's obsession over brain versus brawn, or who's smarter. And every time he gets outsmarted, it drives him like crazy.
Right.
I
I think they nailed that though. I think especially the interrogation scene.
Yes,
I thought they nailed
that-
that aspect of it.
that one scene worked with that, but it's usually not attacking like random people. It's usually not large scale acts of violence unless he's trying to provoke Batman to get a response.
Yeah.
So if it was more personal for Batman, like it was more like he was personally going after Batman, then yeah, I kind of get that as the Riddler. But this was a very Joker type plot,
Right.
but using the Riddler instead.
So we're gonna bookmark that. We're gonna come back to Joker, of course.
Sure.
But Aaron, thinking about as a whole, I know you enjoyed it. What was the number one highlight? Maybe an honorable mention. What was that one thing that made you say like, this movie's dope. Like this is hitting it. I'm about to rank this movie amongst the other ones. Like it's not going to be bottom tier. I'm going to try to find a way to like it. Like what was that high point, and was there like something right behind it?
I don't know if there was anything in particular. I felt like number one, I think one of the greatest things about the movie was the amount of time he was in the bat suit.
Yes.
I'm not going to take that away.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that I've always kind of complained about in any Batman movie. You'll maybe get half an hour out of 2.5 hour movie of suit time. That's not really a Batman movie. This one was a Batman movie. So I think that was definitely a massive pro. I liked a lot of the smaller things as well, whether that be Batman's aggression when he was fighting, because he doesn't necessarily know how to temper some of those things because he is very new to it. He lets things get under his skin at times. And then I like the whole aspect of, it was very early in the movie when they're talking about the bat signal and, it's sort of being a symbol that he can't be everywhere. But like when they look at the shadows, we don't necessarily know when he's going to come out.
Right.
So that kind of puts that fear in. I felt like that was more effective than other Batman movies kind of trying to explain that concept. That's probably one of the more difficult things to explain. Why is everyone so afraid of Batman in a gigantic city? He could kind of be anywhere. But that's kind of the point that they drove home, is that he can be anywhere. And whenever he did come out of like that blackness, whether that was early in the film or in the, I guess it was City Hall or church later, with the bomb, I felt like all of those were very effective in the way that he just sort of appeared. I really liked all of those aspects. And in terms of everything else, I really liked. I wasn't convinced before the movie, but Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman, when there was a very particular moment when he was tailing her and she was in the apartment with her friend, that she kind of like goes into the room and starts grabbing different gear, and then she like goes out the window to go get the girl's passport, I think at that point, or something like that. But like there's a point where she kind of goes from just a normal girl who is working in the club to a lot more graceful and cat-like.
Yeah.
That I felt like, okay, now I can tell that she's kind of become Catwoman and sort of slipped into that persona. Like I believed it 100% and I was on board.
Yeah.
I feel like Colin Farrell was really good for the Penguin. There were a couple times though, even despite him looking nothing like Colin Farrell, especially when Batman was interrogating him, he would make certain faces or the way he talked that felt very Colin Farrell to me. So I could kind of still tell underneath the makeup. But I feel like overall, I really enjoyed it. The detective aspect, I really liked. Although I do wish they kind of would have given a little bit more to it. I felt like some of it was almost a little bit too easy, but maybe that's just a minor nitpick.
Yeah. So Sal, you got excited with the bat signal part, and before we even jump to that, I was pissed that he did not beat the crap out of the Jason Todd actor from Titans. I needed him. I was like, oh, they put him in here on purpose as fan service because we hate him in the show to jack him up, and they didn't do it. I'm wondering if that's supposed to be Jason Todd, but he'd be too old, I think.
It's not. No,
Yeah.
it's there's no way. And people are saying, oh yeah, the Robin reference, that kid's gonna be Robin. I mean, technically in Titans, sure, but
Right.
there's no way they're gonna make this kid Robin
No.
in this universe.
No.
You can
I don't think
try,
so.
but it's
not gonna work. No. So Sal, you got all excited for the bat signal and its usage, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Was that one of the high points?
So one of my favorite things about Batman, and I've mentioned it before in one of the other videos,
Mhm.
is I love the theater of Batman. I love the idea that criminals are cowardly and superstitious, and you'd never know where he is.
Mhm.
You never know what's next. You don't know if he's a guy or if he's an alien or if he's a half bat.
Mhm.
You know, and 89 did it really well.
Right.
And to see this movie open with that,
Yeah.
it was just it was so good. That's my favorite Batman stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I would have changed about that scene is I don't think he should have fought the kids on the train, the train trestle. I don't think he should have fought them. I think it should have been the one guy he takes him to the floor and he pounds on him. Everybody looks and they run.
Mm.
I don't think that should have been an extended fight because I think that contradicts the point they're trying to make.
Mm.
Because now they actually have the bat in front of them.
Right.
And he's stomping on one of their friends. Like, I'm not going to figure out if that's a guy in armor or if that's a bat or if it's an alien or if it's some creature or something. I'm getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I would have tweaked that scene, but it was perfect for me. I loved it.
I think too, what would have been dope, exactly to your point there, because they already alluded to it, right? Like, people recognize the symbol. They know what it means or what it potentially means. And maybe it would have been cool if there's one person who's like, yo, no, like, I know what that is. And like, they call it that. Like, they don't call it him or anything. And then the main one's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's Halloween. Obviously, this is a guy on Halloween. And then goes for that. Like, that would have been a cool notion too. I think the thing that got me the most excited about that sequence when they got to the train was like, oh, they're acknowledging the fact that Joker exists. Because those were definitely Joker soldiers. And I was like, all right, maybe I was like, maybe he's going to actually be the Riddler. Like, I was like, maybe it turns out it's not Riddler. It's actually Joker or something. Again, we'll get back to that. But that did excite me there.
They could have done, to that point, they could have done something like, how they cut around to different guys. One guy robs the deli, and then he sees this symbol, and he runs and he trips over himself, right? You could have done a scene where instead of like a fourth set of people, where they're trying to break into a car, and one guy's the lookout. And while the main guy's breaking into the car, the lookout goes, "Hey man, that thing's in the sky, man. We gotta get the hell out of here. The bat's out. He's out tonight. Like, I ain't afraid of that guy. That guy's full of shit. He doesn't exist."
Mm-hmm.
And he just keeps breaking into the car, and the other guy runs off. And then, it shows the different levels of, I guess, of fear.
Yeah.
That he's instilling in people. So you have the one where the guy just completely runs and gives up.
Mm-hmm.
You have the one where they're half and half. One runs away, and one's like, "Oh, he doesn't really exist." And then you got the group of kids who are like, "I know who you are. I don't care who you are." Or maybe you're not even him because he doesn't really exist. We're going at you.
Yeah.
So I think they could have tweaked that a little bit. That would have been nice.
So I feel like we've as a reminder to everybody, we liked the movie overall. So I think we're the nitpicks that we're giving here, for the record, as we're 23 minutes in, are merely because we're trying to perfect it going forward. So I guess before we even jump to that part, any other highlight for you, Sal, that you were like, this is the movie? I know it's not for you. I know you're still ranking a couple others above it, but what was there another strong highlight, or was there?
Yes, to touch on something Aaron said,
Mm-hmm.
I like Catwoman. Well, Selena Kyle shows Selena Kyle shows the duality between the two characters, where Bruce Wayne has completely given up on being Bruce Wayne. This is
Right.
year 2, which is generally my favorite. Uh, it part of it is my favorite range of Batman, where I mean he's given up being Bruce. He's out all night, he's sleeping all day. It's just work, 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 work. Maybe he's not the best fighter. Maybe he's not the sharpest guy. Like, you know, he has his moments. Maybe he doesn't have all the best tech because he hasn't built all his stuff up. And that I like. And then you see Selena Kyle, who's managed to balance her lifestyles. She goes out, she works during the night. She's at the nightclub, and she has this one persona. And then she goes home, and it's like, all right, now I have to put my real face on. She goes into the bedroom. She starts putting on her outfit. She's taking her tools off the wall. And you see how she went from walking, like Aaron said, from moving one way to becoming far more graceful.
Right.
Where there is a duality of character where Batman doesn't have that yet.
Yeah. And that's key that you said yet, because that's something we love about
that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. He's learning. He has to learn how to become he has to learn how to create a character, because he is Batman, right? Like that's the classic conversation. Is Bruce Wayne the person, or is Batman the person? Like who's the secret identity?
Yeah. And what I like what they do is they do it in the animated series. They do it in the Batman, the Telltale video games, where Bruce Wayne is there's a couple scenes in the opening of the Arkham games where it's Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is still going out and he's politicking. Well, not really politicking, but he's going out. He's doing public events. He's talking to people. He's at the board. Even Val Kilmer's Batman did it. Did a walk around the office. That's how he met Nigma. And so there's that duality of Batman. He's still writing charity checks. He's still going to balls. He's still going to board meetings. And I like that, because then he's setting himself up. He's the day and the night. And with the year 2 stuff, you know, he's just all Batman. Yeah. So there's a positive and negative to be had about that.
Yeah. So just to give everybody the things that, you know, a high point for me. I don't think I talked about it. Oh no, I said the low point was the runtime and the ending. A high point, something I liked. I thought they had a nice, you know, we talked in previous videos or episodes about like Winter Soldier having like a lesser serum of Super Soldier, and then like Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow's like lower than that. Like she has just that little bit of extra over an average human. And with Batman and Catwoman, I felt like they showed that that they're superheroes. There's a little bit extra there that the average person doesn't have. With her, it was how gracefully she jumped out the window. Same sequence you guys are talking about. She jumps out the window down the side of the building to get to her motorcycle. I was like, oh, she turned it on. She turned on I'm Catwoman, to both you guys' point. For him, you know, when he moves that beam at the end of the movie, I was like, that's a blatant one. But the earlier scene was when he escaped the jail, or he escaped the police department, and he eats it hard on the subway tracks in the bus. And I was like, oh god damn, like, and then I was like, maybe they're gonna show here that there's like robotics in the joints or something. But it's like, no, there's just a heightened level versus the average person. So that was something I liked. That. You didn't like that?
I didn't like that stuff. I didn't like that he took a bomb blast to the face in City Hall during the funeral, and walked it off. Right. And then Alfred, who was much further from a much smaller bomb, is hospitalized in a coma. Yeah. And then he eats the the overpass or the train trestle, whatever it was. He eats that when he's gliding down. It's like, oh man. But what was it? A couple of guys knock him out. Yeah. And he wakes up. I can see that. No, actually, it was the bomb. It was the bomb. Sorry, the bomb makes him wake up in the police precinct, right? If I remember correctly.
Yes. Yeah. Aaron, did you have? Oh, sorry.
So that was the bomb going off was a minor inconvenience. He ate the train trestle and kept going. Yeah. But Alfred takes a smaller blast further away from him, and the guys, you know, he might not make it.
Was that a big issue for you, Aaron, or you overlooked it completely?
I feel like I overlooked it. I felt like the him eating it with the train and the bus, I
Mhm,
felt like that was a good thing because we
mhm.
got to see that inexperience and, maybe he doesn't know timing of the city and being able to, navigate some of these things. But
I'll level with you
I
with that. Yeah.
but I completely agree that, him being able to take a bomb to the face, whereas Alfred, being a little bit further from one and taking 10 times more damage, I guess, at that point, um, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I guess you
Yeah,
could try and make an argument that the suit itself seems to be protected, which they didn't really go into,
right.
protected to some extent. Because I mean, I know you had issue a little bit, Archer, with the bullets
Yeah,
hitting off of his suit and him just taking it no problem.
Beskar.
So I guess I guess
But
that's the only argument that I could make for it, but I did overlook it for the most part. But I completely agree. It does kind of add a little bit to the inconsistencies of the movie overall.
Yeah. So the other thing I liked was it was a love hate actually. It was the usage of everything, right? Like first of all, Batmobile that scene when it's revealed in that dark alley, I thought was like my mind like melted out of my nose. I thought it was so badass.
yeah, I
Um
Yeah.
loved it.
I loved all the tech that he had. I loved the
Hmm.
contact lens cameras. I
Yeah.
loved, that
I liked how he kind of had like almost like an Assassin's Creed type of like grappling gun.
yes.
Yes,
I guess
that was
that's the
cool.
best way to put it. That was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I felt like
Yeah.
that was kind of more unique to the character.
Yeah. All the
I'm
gear.
happy. I'm happy you're going there because I was going to ask you about the tech next.
Yeah. So the tech was something I loved. Absolutely loved. The only issue that I had, again, this is just nitpick. The only issue I had was I felt like that was not year 2 tech. I thought some of it was so advanced that I was like, this is something that Lucius would give him when he befriends him, or Alfred's like, this is a new Wayne Tech, you know, cutter that does
Prototype.
something cool. Yeah, a prototype that I stole. I don't know, something like that. I thought that
That's
is the tech, the bulletproof everything. I thought that was too advanced for year 2. Again, I was able to overlook it, but the entire time I was thinking about it.
that's where I disagree with you because I think
Mm,
the armor looked weird and bulky, and he had like those metal bracers on his
yeah.
forearm. It looked like chunky and like not streamlined, not
Mm,
efficient.
mm,
I loved it. I thought that was great. Year 2 stuff. You know the tech he had. So as advanced as the tech was, like the contact lenses and using like the sorting programs and stuff he had on
mm,
the computer, you notice the quality, like the video quality wasn't that great, and
mm.
everything was kind of like glitching in and out. And he had like, I don't know, he was like on little like tube televisions watching this
Right.
stuff almost. I actually I like that because that showed me the year 2 stuff where it's he has the start of this tech
Mm,
because of his wealth, because of the company,
mm.
but he hasn't perfected it.
Yeah.
He hasn't quite figured it out yet,
Yeah.
and I thought that was really good. That was actually one of my favorite parts.
So,
That at
well,
least he didn't have like the what do they call it in the comics, the eye where he has like the satellite up. At least he
oh
didn't have
yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
the satellite set up, and he didn't have like all this wild tech. The car looked like a hyped up Challenger,
Right.
Yeah.
like an old school Challenger, which is gutted. And I thought that was great. It made his advanced tech still look kind of grounded, at
Mm.
least not perfected.
And I guess that's where as we turn to look forward, unless you guys have something else you want to talk about there, but as we look forward, I want more scenes of him using tech that doesn't work properly. Like, oh, this is my
Yeah.
first field run, didn't work, or something misfires, or I something came to my mind that I like just forgot it, but it was like, let's say he's taking a shot from something and he gets hurt and he kind of notices like, oh, like not the right spot, like that should really be on this spot, or little things like that. I'd like to see going forward of just failures, but him seeing like, oh, I should do this differently. I should change this. Or Alfred, can you move this here? This is too heavy. I want
Yeah.
more of that in the next one. What are you guys' thoughts?
I feel like
Uh,
those upgrades will come.
Mhm.
I don't feel like it's going to be necessarily anything we see. I mean, other than maybe the um the Dark Knight when he approaches Lucius and like I need to be able to move. I don't think we've really seen too much of that R&D in the field.
Right.
So I think that is something that we definitely could see. I don't know if they're going to spend too much time on it depending on whatever time jump that we're going to see, if any,
Hmm.
between these movies. Whenever the next one may come out, I would guess 2 to 3 years. Um, so I guess it's really going to depend, but I do like sort of the rudimentary of it. And speaking of early years, I don't know if anybody else kind of noticed this, but I also really liked how when he returned to his, for lack of a better phrase, cave, which was actually just Wayne Tower
Right.
that he was living in, um, he kind of like had like this journal where he would like take his notes about sort of like the night, and then like he when he closed it was called like the Gotham Project, like year two or like journal two, something like
It
that.
said year 2 on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like that was very smart because he is taking notes and you're showing that, it's not just him being like, man, tonight sucked, or, any little thing here and there. He's
Yeah.
actually taking the time to put in the work to make him better himself, more or less. So I really like that little subtle moment that was gone in a flash. And I also really liked Alfred, which I really didn't want to. I felt like Andy Serkis was probably going to be the worst thing about the movie, but
Yeah.
he actually played really well against this Bruce Wayne. I didn't
Hmm.
necessarily feel like he was trying to baby him. I didn't feel like he was trying to um, encourage him to go out and do this thing. But there were also plenty of other moments throughout the movie that were subtle nods that have kind of gotten people talking, which I do want your guys' opinion on. But I
Hmm.
don't know if you guys want to go into that or if you want to jump to something else.
Well, I just want to get. We'll jump to that, I guess. But as far as as we go to a look forward perspective, like Sal,
Yeah.
anything on the tech side that maybe you'd want to see in the next one?
I'm gonna start with Aaron, and then I'm
Mm.
gonna work my way into what you said.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I liked Alfred a lot. I like Andy Serkis as Alfred. I like that they touched on the SAS stuff. Well, whatever they would have called it back then. I'm not familiar with British military, but he makes a comment about how he was special forces when he's doing the code breaking, and I think that was well. I'm gonna ramble very slightly. I think there was a small miss there
Mm.
because I think they should have had Alfred solve the puzzle so you can see how efficient Alfred is as his
Hmm.
number two.
Mm.
So there's the part where he's trying to break the code, and he goes, "Oh, we've already outlined this, but I'm trying to figure out what the other letters could be." And then Bruce tells him, "Oh no, just isolate what we know." And then I forgot what the code word was, but it comes across the screen with
Like
just the letters they have
drive, I think.
available. Yeah, I think it was drive, and that comes across the screen.
Yeah.
I think it should have been the other way around. I think Bruce being year two and showing that Alfred is much older and he has special forces experience and he has code breaking experience. That should have been a moment where uh, Batman's not the smartest one in the room, just to show Alfred's efficiency.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why
Yeah.
why keep him around? Why keep bringing him down to the cave? Um, just have him serve you lunch,
Yeah.
you know. But he could now slowly crossing over to Steve's point. Uh, Now you got him. Yeah, he comes back at night, and let's say he got shot or he got stabbed, and Alfred's stitching him up, and he goes, "Oh, we got to do something about the plating. That's the right shoulder is misplaced. I took this hit. I should have never taken this hit. We gotta go back to the drawing board.
Hmm.
We gotta rework this."
Hmm.
Um, what else? There was something else with Alfred. I would have liked. Oh, so now Al, the movie ends where, well, just before, yeah, the movie ends with him having a newfound respect for Alfred. He makes a comment earlier in the movie like, "Oh, you're not my father. You're not a Wayne."
Right.
And then by the end, he realizes that he essentially is his father.
Hmm.
He's more valuable to him. He needs him, and not just need as a tool or a weapon, but he needs him as that strength, as a
Yeah.
thing that kind of grounds him. He shouldn't see him as his butler. He should see him as like an equal
Yeah.
or someone that could even teach him. Um, I think that's something I want to see going forward. I want to see them really work on that and push that. The tech stuff, yeah, I think some of the tech stuff should still be broken. going forward. He should he should try out a new hook. Instead of having the little gun, it's a bigger apparatus, or maybe it's on the outside. And I don't know, he launches it and it snaps, or he
Mm.
launches it, he overshoots the building. And he's
Mhm.
like, ugh. So maybe he just he ignores it, right? Like he keeps going past it. He goes on his adventure for the night, and he comes back home. He goes, Alfred, we got to fix this. I shot the hook. I missed the building. I missed the gargoyle, and this is unacceptable. We got to work on this. We got to wind it down. We got to wind it up. Maybe the placement's bad. I want to see more of that kind of stuff. I'm okay with the tech still failing, especially if it's going to be like a year 3. If it's not going to be, they're not jumping ahead so many years.
Mhm. So, as we do look ahead, right now, we saw the Joker at the end of the movie. There's the hints of Hush being brought in. I'll say off the bat, I think that's too early for him, but they've acknowledged that bloodline exists. Do Penguin's still rolling around, the Jokers, all this stuff. So going forward, do you guys want to keep it at like this tier of a movie? Like, do you still want it to be him, detective, solving the crime? Maybe there's 1 or 2 bad guys, or are you trying to see like a jump up? You're trying to see like, now maybe there is a Robin, maybe there is other vigilantes in the city. Him and Catwoman together are fighting something. Like, what are you guys looking for in a next movie? You could choose what year Batman it is as you do that.
I want them to stay with that suspense, that late 90s, early 2000s, like suspense thriller kind of vibe, like that
Mhm.
7, 12 Monkeys kind of like where it's like it's weird, it's not right. He's actually investigating crimes. I think they need to just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I think that's the best route for them.
Aaron?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that I would like to see bigger villains enter the fold, but I think that it's going to need to be
Super powered villains, or
super powered to a degree.
okay.
So let's say Mr. Freeze. I know that's been in
Mhm.
conversation online. He's super powered because of the suit. I feel like maybe if that is something that you want to build off of and go in that direction, okay. I I think Poison Ivy could potentially be an option. The villains that I want to see are the ones that we don't get to see very often, if at all. So I would prefer if it was somebody that we haven't seen on the big screen, even though I agree it is too early for Hush. I think that could be a viable option. I think the Court of Owls could be a very viable option, something we've never seen on screen before.
Mhm.
But I feel like that could be tied a little too closely to kind of what happened in this story with the family background and how his family sort of ties to Gotham. It's going to be a little too similar. One that I feel like that could be very dark, fit very well in this world, and kind of also go along with it. Very much comes from, well, I mean, he's in the comics, but comes from, especially, I think it was not Arkham City. I want to say it was Arkham, one of the Arkham
Origin?
games.
Arkham
I think it
Origin, I
was,
think you're
I
talking
think
about.
it was Origin or one of them. But
Are you
essentially,
talking about
Professor
Arcane?
Pig. I was talking about
Who?
Professor Pig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
That'd be
was
good.
Because in that, when in the game, like he actually has to do detective things
Yeah.
that relate to, who's taking sort of like these body parts from people. Like, what is the purpose of all of this stuff? And that is in itself a noir story that fits very much in line to kind of what we saw here. It can be a nice character that's dark and very much creepy that fits into this world very nicely. And I feel like that could be a direction that is very viable if they, want to do it. Is
Yeah.
it grounded and maybe not as fantastic as the going straight for the Joker or bringing back Catwoman and some of the rogues gallery that we know? Sure, but I feel like it adds to the world in way better instances than it does in any other character, and you can actually continue and feel like it's a continuation story. You can pick it up whether it be, right after this adventure or next year, year 3, 4, whatever, and it still can fit nicely. So that's what I would like to see. Am I fine with a big bad? Yeah, but I think that there's plenty of other characters. I hope they don't go with the Joker, even though the tease was there. I feel like there's plenty of other on the roster that need to either have their justice done after being done wrong for so many years, like Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, things like that, or just go with somebody we just haven't seen before. They have so many options that can go any direction.
Yeah, I want to. Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead, Steve.
Well, say I want that grounded. I want that we got to solve the mystery. I want to be able to figure out the mystery as I'm watching it. Like I felt like the riddles. Don't get me wrong, I'm not good at riddles anyway, but I felt like a lot of these were just so over me. I was like, there's no way I can solve these as I'm watching this movie. Like, and they didn't give me enough time to try to figure some of them out. So I definitely want. I love that Professor Pig idea. I heard you mention it in your video over at Nerdgenic. I thought it was a great idea. If we're gonna have a secondary villain, so that he has somebody to fight hordes of people or whatever it may be. I actually do like the Court of Owls idea, but if they do that, I need them to commit that we're doing at least like 3 more movies. And I want them to be in the background, in the darkness, like in the comic books, but stretched out. Like next movie happens, he knows he knows Professor Pig is who's going after. Well, he doesn't know, but he's trying to solve this crime. They're watching. He's suspicious. I feel like people are watching me. I feel like there's something going on, and we acknowledge that there's something going on, but we don't really see it. And then the movie continues and you kind of forget about it. Then the next movie happens and you see a little bit more. He's a little bit more in tune to, like that kind of slow build, a nice 3-4 movie arc where we know it's going to end at him fighting the court, in the underground, whatever, like from the comics and all that stuff.
And I think a lot of the villains that I think that we want to see so badly, like the Court of Owls or even the Joker, need to be long term. Like we can't do it within a 3-movie set or have just a solo movie based around that. I feel like they need to slowly get there because those are bigger in scope. And even if they did want to bring in a Robin down the line, because that was something he teamed up with that would eventually help him with the Joker, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
But I need them to kind of stay grounded for the most part and not all of a sudden, Superman shows up in Doomsday in number 2 or, some absolutely out of this world thing that this Batman is clearly not ready for.
Yeah.
So I feel like that they need to have that slow progression. We don't need to start sky portals or anything like that. Batman needs to stay in Gotham. We don't need a worldwide adventure like a lot of movies like to do for a second movie. Take them out of Gotham and go to China like the Dark Knight did. But there's plenty of options to keep Batman where he is, keep things happening on this level, and build those things as they go. I think the Joker thing was more than enough to last us for a little while. Maybe have him dance around the outskirts of the story for a little while. We know he's present. Some nods here and there, but overall, I don't think that any of those bigger stories are necessary yet, or at least to be able to tackle head on. If they're there, great, and sort of building the foundation, that's even better, but they don't need to make it a solid, this is the story. We're going biting off a little bit more than we can chew.
Sal?
If they do the Court of Owls have to be the big bad. That's got to be the last movie in the series. I don't think that should be next, because I think that they got to fester, right? They got to see, all right, so Batman's a problem. Is he worth our attention? No, we'll keep an eye on him. But then it gets to the point where it's the end of the movie, the end of the series, and like, we've had enough. We got to send the Talons after him because he's gotten so good. Batman's gotten so efficient that now he's impeding on us.
Right.
That's when I think the Court of Owls works. I think it works at the end.
Well, that's I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the same, that same idea, like no Talon in the next one, right? Like none of that. I do want that build up too. So I think
that's
got to
be his. That's got to be his Thanos. The Court of Owls. That's got to be the last one.
Yes.
Generally, one thing I don't like about the Court of Owls, and this is you guys reminded me of it. It's something I didn't like about the movie is I never liked the defamation of Thomas and Martha Wayne
Mm,
because I've always felt like the death of Thomas Wayne is supposed to be that's he's the last good guy in Gotham.
right.
The death of Thomas and Martha Wayne in the alley, that's supposed to be the last straw. The last little ember that was still burning of goodness in Gotham is now gone. And when they start tying him in to the Falcones, it's like, oh, why? Why are you rooting Thomas Wayne? Thomas Wayne's supposed to be the good guy. He's supposed to be
Yeah.
the last good guy.
Yeah.
He didn't die for nothing. Well, yeah, it's supposed to be he didn't die for nothing. That he was trying to hold out, and you don't know if it was an assassination, and you don't know if it was a robbery, and it can go it can go either way.
Mhm.
I think kind of like to scuff up Thomas Wayne's reputation. I don't think that works. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that's
think they
supposed to be
kind
the
of
point
set
that
that up.
trends. Sorry, God.
Yeah, I feel like they no, it's okay. I felt like they kind of did a good job of that though, having that at least especially for Thomas in this movie, that he was trying to do the right thing to be able to protect Martha from um her sort of past and like the whole asylum thing. I felt like that was a little bit strange because of, we never really had that before. Um like her past and the her family and sort of the mental health of
Yeah,
her. And
it's tarnishing Martha Wayne for the sake of tarnishing Martha Wayne.
But wasn't that
yeah,
was that
but it
not
also
Court of
kind of
Owl's
makes
story? Or was that oh no, that was in that story. Didn't or was his brother that goes to the asylum? I thought his mom went to the asylum in that story.
I don't recall, to be honest
Me
with
either.
you. But I felt like in this movie, kind of to what Sal was saying, was that Thomas Wayne was still trying to be that last ember. He was still trying to more or less protect his wife from basically the evils of Gotham wanting to basically rip her apart for something that she maybe couldn't necessarily control or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I felt like his good deed of trying to seek out this information and kind of Alfred drove this point home when he was in the hospital was that he was trying to do something good, but it was kind of turned on itself by the evils within Gotham by going to Falcone and then him sort of wanting him to have him in his pocket. So of course he's going to do the thing that maybe Thomas wouldn't have thought of. He was still maybe naive to the whole idea, I guess, at that point that he would actually go out and kill him, go out and kill, Elliot. So I think that there was still a glimmer of that, although they did kind of twist it, like you were saying with Martha's history and kind of sort of defaming her for just defaming's sake. But it kind of worked for me. I wasn't overly mad at it, but I did feel it was a little bit strange to go down that route on
Right.
the same token.
Because yeah, I agree with you to that point because all right, look, hey, rough this guy up, get him out of my face until I become mayor, then that's fine. He can go back out and write whatever story he wants. And I was like, oh, I didn't tell you to kill the guy. So, I mean, when you're dealing with Falcone or the Maronis or any organized crime, you didn't expect them to kill the guy. These guys are
Yeah.
killers. Um, so you're talking about where to go next.
Mhm.
I don't think they should go. I think they should stay kind of grounded, like they're doing. I think using the Joker in the jail cell was a big miss. I think using the Joker at all is a big miss. He should have been on the background, just like there's the Joker thugs around, so he's in
You
this
know he's
world, but
there.
he doesn't have to be. Yeah, he doesn't have to be in any of the movies.
Right.
I think having uh, Roman Sionis or Victor Zaz in the jail cell would have been a lot better, and you use one of them in the next movie. If you
Mhm.
want to keep the mobster stuff, you go for Sionis.
Mhm.
If you want to go more, keep the serial killer suspense thriller kind of thing going, you go with Victor Zaz. I think that'd be
Mhm.
kind of cool.
Mhm.
I think if they did a Professor Pig and the sort of like Victor Zsasz combo, because I feel like they're kind of in the
Yeah,
same token almost. I feel like
they're
that
similar.
would be a good combo villain for him to kind of go up against. Victor could sort of be that, I guess, slasher that he could have a little bit more of a physical presence with and have sort of those bigger fight scenes, I guess. But Professor Pig maybe even be the mastermind behind that, causing extra death, destruction, dismemberments all throughout Gotham. So if they did keep something grounded, I think that would be a very viable option.
you could tie them together almost like a Hannibal Lecter kind of thing,
Hmm.
where you make Victor Zaz, you make him a little bit smarter, and instead of killing just to kill, he takes a part of them with him,
Yeah.
right? So he maybe I don't know, maybe he doesn't make the slash on his body, or you could even keep that. He makes the slash on his body, and then he's also taking a chunk, like a trophy, with him,
Yeah.
and then you could tie the Professor Pig into that aspect with the plastic surgery and wanting to look perfect
Mhm.
and making the faces and the suits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You could tie it both. You could put them both together pretty easy, I think.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that in combination, going back to the whole Arkham games thing, because I think that they kind of also used Hush in a similar aspect, where he was. I mean, this is could be like we are saying a movie 3 situation where they could set it up that he was also a part of this sort of trifecta, assuming we kept Professor Pig and Victor Zaz, and he was also sort of taking some of these pieces because in the game he was also sort of killing people and dismembering them for certain aspects to basically make Bruce Wayne's face, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I don't remember if
Yes,
that was the exact story of the comic, but
that was a
um,
story. That was a story they did in the video game.
right. I feel like that would tie into the whole combination very nicely, and you can still continue to have the world where Penguin's further taking over, making the Iceberg Lounge. All these extra pieces continue to build Gotham further, while other chaos and bodies are dropping left and right, and still keeping it grounded. So I feel like that could be another route as well.
Hush was Thomas Elliot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But
you could have Thomas Elliot be like Professor Pig's, like his mentor or something, or they were roommates in med school
mm,
when they did surgery, and he has Professor Pig or it could be the other way around, but he has Professor Pig dismembering people and taking the parts, and he's basically taking notes. So you make Pig make the mess, but then Elliot, now he sees what he's done. He's made all the mistakes already for me. I can make the perfect Bruce Wayne face and go out there
mm,
and cause problems.
yeah.
Hmm.
Since you can do that with Batman still being obsessed about being Batman, and there's fewer scenes or fewer times where he's at board meetings and public events, and you could run it that way.
Yeah. Well, I
That'd
mean,
be very
we could talk Batman for literally for
Batman
days,
Forever.
forever. Yeah. Um, so I guess just one last question I have.
Mhm.
Your yes or no, and are you on board for it if you don't think it is? But um, do you think that this could actually be the Ben Affleck Batman? And would you be okay if they were like, hey, you know what? We changed our minds. Affleck's coming back, and that was him. You know, year 2, year 3, etc. You think it's the same guy, or could it be?
I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
Either of you?
I
Is it
don't.
I
I
because
don't
you
felt
like
want?
I
that at
felt
all.
Is it a Snyder thing? Is that what it is?
No, I like
no.
Snyder.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like although um Ben Affleck's Batman was my favorite, and I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe still has a slight edge in terms of overall suit and physical demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Um I feel like he still sort of slightly wins out in that category, but I felt like to a degree he was also a better Bruce Wayne than this one is. And of course, like we're talking about, he's still very much learning, but I I don't think it would be connected in any way. I think there's still very very much separate universes, franchises, and I think that DC would be shooting themselves in the foot, if
Yeah.
anything, if they did try and connect them more than they have already in the past. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that theory.
He's such a different character. Uh,
Hmm.
the only thing that really ties together is like the warehouse fight, so you can see the level of brutality that he operates with on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
To compare him to Pattinson, but other than that, man, that world doesn't fit in this world. It's so different. To even put Superman in this Batman world doesn't make sense. Like they should keep it to Batman and Green Arrow and I don't know, like even like some villains that like, with just tech, like Mr. Freeze is not that far out because Batman already has advanced tech.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff like fits. I'm okay with going as supernatural as like Killer Croc, but this should be a lot of ground level guys like in this world. Like it feels more realistic. The Snyder world is too fantastical. It doesn't. The two Batman don't fit in the same. I don't think that it could possibly be the same people.
Yeah.
So I agree but disagree. I think that I was when the movie was wrapping up, I was like, could Ben Affleck have done this role and been the same person? And I felt like, yes, I agree. The worlds are so different. Like that Gotham City is not the Gotham City we know. And, you can argue that the whole point of them flooding the city and destroying it was so that Bruce would, gain popularity by helping rebuild the city. But for some reason I was watching him and I was like, I could see that being the younger Ben Affleck version. I couldn't see Robert connecting to any other Batman. Like none of the other Batmen in history could I see him being a younger version. But for some odd reason, I was like, I feel like he could be a younger Batman, a younger Batfleck. And, if they ever entertain the idea of a time travel in that universe, I wouldn't mind at that point older Ben Affleck playing him. But far-fetched.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those that you have to keep them very separate.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any point in trying to bring them together. I mean, yeah, you do have the Flash, but I think to Sal's point, this movie is like way too grounded. This universe is way too grounded for even something like a Superman or anybody with more or less metahuman abilities to any degree to kind of exist, unless you want to make the argument for maybe like a Killer Croc or things like that.
Right.
But it's way too early on it. And even if they start to entertain some of those things, like the more fantastical metahuman stuff, it's definitely going to be like much, much further down the line. Like we've run out of the dark detective noir stories. Now we've got to how can we make this better? But they've also shot themselves in the foot in the past going too comic booky, too over the top, Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, where they've become completely panned because of those wild, wacky moments. So it's just a balancing act for this one, but keeping them, it's very hard to see anything too fantastic happening in this universe.
Yeah. Cool. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate it. We're going to talk about this movie some more for sure. Have any of you seen it more than once yet, or everybody's on one?
I'm on one. I'm hoping to see it again probably within the next week, but I've been playing the score when I'm working, and it's like it makes me want to get stuff done, so it's effective.
Sal,
I've only seen it once as of right now.
Okay,
but I don't know. I'll try to see it a second time, but I'm not sure if that's gonna happen.
But it's gonna be on HBO Max 45 days after. So we're only a couple days in. So even if you can hold out, there you go. So
yeah. I might theater it one more time, maybe, but I tell you, every time I go to a theater, I'm just like, this is dumb. This whole thing is dumb.
It's hard to make an argument for going to the theater unless you're in a box like these big releases, but that's a conversation for another time.
That's the thing. And you guys with kids, you do a date night. That it's a reason to get out of the house.
Of course, that's what. Well, I mean, as of this filming, it was last night when I saw it, and that's what it turned into.
That's what I figured.
We'll go to dinner. We'll see.
I had the same.
Yeah.
But I have to say, just really quick before we end it, the longer these movies are, the more I have to consciously think during the runtime, pre-movie, if I can make it through without having to go to the bathroom or anything and not miss it. So you really got to time things, and I hate that.
I went every movie.
Yeah.
Because I always think like, what's the best moment? But then there's sometimes where it's like, okay, I got to preserve the soda for so long. I got to make the popcorn last for so long. And like, it's a game more than just going to the movie. It's a whole experience.
Well, even last night turned into a 5-hour event because for dinner and a movie, it's a 3-hour movie. You know, it's an hour 15 for dinner, and then the drive over to the theater, a half hour worth of trailers, and then 3 hours worth of movie, and then the drive back home.
Yeah.
So next thing you know, it's like 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
And we know these trailers. Like, there's no need to show. You know, I'm done with trailers. I'm done with them. They're on YouTube the day they come out. Like, do I need to see this in a theater?
Yeah.
I don't know if my movie played trailers. Now that I think about it,
then you're lucky.
Yeah, man, there was a
Just
lot.
like Sal, I had half an hour.
Just went into it.
I had about half an hour.
Like they showed like the theater, like the Coke popcorn,
Right.
like little moment, but they just jumped right into it. I don't know why. I just thought about that.
And the cringy Nicole Kidman, like, the theaters they're a great place to be. You should want to do this more as you surcharge my ticket. Yeah, all right. Gentlemen, pleasure. Anything to plug before we call it an episode? Or as we call it an episode, I should say.
Sal, you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. I'm here. I'm the affiliated. I'm with you guys. Check me out on this channel and check me out on Twitch. Carpe Noctem 727. Catch me on the PlayStation. Carpe Noctem 727. If you want to game with me, send me a friend request. I'll hop in with you.
There you go. Aaron?
I have my normal channel, which is dormant, but if you want more Batman stuff where I talk about Batman, that's all. Oh, so I hit my phone. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
I've been talking nothing Batman basically this entire week over on the Energetic channel. So if you want to go give us a follow on there or any social media platform, we have new videos pretty much all the time. Batman stuff all this week, coming up on some pretty awesome live streams upcoming with Moon Knight, possibly Halo, a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, check us out over there.
Yeah, can't wait for Moon Knight. Thank you everybody for listening. Thanks for watching. Hey Archer podcast, Rambling with Anthony, Snapshot with Sal, all here at Nerd Affiliated. Man, it's that.
And we have to get
night.
Anthony's opinion once he's able to see.
Oh, that's its own episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be a whole thing.
Yeah, maybe it's a solo. That might just be a solo record for Anthony. He just hits record and
just let him go. Just let Anthony him go. Off leash. Just
yeah. Yeah. Here at Nerd Affiliated, you'll get all that fun content. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk to all you nerds in the next video or podcast. Peace.
Carpe Noctem. See ya.
Nice.